It can be hidden right in front of you and you might not even notice. So let's try to see who's out here today. Now over here on the right, look at that, we'll see an okapi. That okapi has that really nice dark brown coat on top, and then they have those awesome black and white zebra stripe party pants going down its legs. Now, one weird fact about the okapi is that, did you know for the first month of their life, they don't poop a single time? I know. Over there to the left, we'll see that pretty bird. That's a saddle-billed stork. They're the largest of all the storks, standing about 5 feet tall with a 9-foot long wingspan. 9 feet long is the same length as the canopy that goes across your head to give you a little size comparison. And then look at that, over there to the left, we'll see the full moon. And that belongs to the black rhino.
Rhino.
Black rhinos are huge. Rhino. 3,000 pounds. Now they're also pretty tough too. Their skin is just about an inch thick. So not a lot of animals can do any harm to them, which is why the black rhinos have no natural predator. Now we see this black rhino hanging out by himself. That's pretty normal. And that's because black rhinos are territorial, which means they don't really like to spend much time with any other black rhinos or any other animals in general. They really like to just simply enjoy their alone time. Now over here to the right, that reddish brown animal, that's a bongo. Now I love the bongos so much. They're so sweet, but they're also so shy too, getting the nickname the ghosts of the forest because of how shy they are. And then over here next to them, their cousins, those lovely ladies, are the greater kudu. Now I know that they're female greater kudu because they don't have any horns. So the males will have horns while the females will not. So simply seeing that there are no horns lets me know that those are the females. But that was the Itsuri Forest. And now we're going to be entering into the next part of our reserve, which is called the Safi River. Now, in the Safi River, we're going to find a bunch of animals that just love to be in the water, by the water, next to the water. So honestly, just look near the water. We're most likely going to find a couple more animals nearby. Like right now, over there on the water, you'll see, oh, Nile hippopotamus. That's right, those are the hippos. Now, one weird fact about those hippos is that the way they spread out their territory is by making sure they can fling their poop as far as they can. So what they'll do is they'll wag their tail as they're pooping to spread that poop out, kind of spray painting the wall in a way. Pretty gross. Also, if you haven't noticed already, I like to say a lot of poop facts, and if you think poop facts are weird and they're gross and you don't want to hear them, that sucks, because I have so many more poop facts to tell you. For example, poop fact number 3, did you know wombats, they poop out squares, little cubes? I know, pretty weird. But anyways, over there to the right, we'll see those light gray birds. Those are the pink-backed pelicans. And then, of course, over here to the left, we'll see some more of those hippos. Now, these hippos, like I said, they weigh about 5,500 pounds. Since they're very large animals, they're definitely going to eat a lot of food too. They are herbivores, so they eat plants and plant life and eat about 85 pounds worth of plant life a day. That's how much a baby hippo weighs on average when they're first born. And speaking of baby hippos, try to keep an eye out. We do have a new baby hippo. Her name is Greta, and she is so cute. So let's try to see if we can find baby Greta nearby. Make sure you're looking underneath the water on the bottom, since that's where they're going to be spending most of their time at. Now over here to the left, now we're going to be able to see some Nile crocodiles. That's right, these are the Nile crocodiles. They are not alligators. Everyone thinks they're alligators. They're not, even though there's a clear difference between the two. Does anyone actually know the difference between an alligator and a crocodile? The answer is that one will see you later, the other one will see you in a while. I don't know though, because I'm not a zoologist. But anyways, those are the Nile crocodiles. We don't see those that often. Now on average, they weigh about 500 pounds, get about 18 feet long. Now they're also pretty strong too. They actually have about 5,000 pounds per square inch of force behind their jaws, which pretty much allow them to chomp down through practically anything. And when it comes to chomping down on food, they only really eat once a week. But when they do eat, their diet just mainly consists of eating some fish. But that was the Safi River, and now seeing this really big baobab tree over here on the right lets us know we're going to be entering into the next part of our reserve, which is called the savanna. But that's right, everyone, this is a really big tree. Okay. It's a baobab tree. You know, on average, those trees hold about 25,000 gallons of water on the inside. And now knowing that, let's play a little guessing game because I am bored. since the average baobab tree holds about 25,000 gallons of water. Can you take a guess how many gallons of water was in that baobab tree that we just saw? Now, of course, there are no wrong answers, except for, the ones that aren't right. 25,000 is your one and only hint. So take a guess, how many gallons of water do you think is in that tree?
0.
You gotta say it out loud for me to hear you, come on. 0. That's right. And that's because that baobab tree is made out of concrete. It's not real. It's way too cold here in Florida for those baobab trees to survive. They need to live in that super hot climate over in Africa to get to that size. But if that was a real tree, looking at the size of it alone, we could tell it'd be at least 500 years old. Now, just because it's too cold here doesn't mean that we still can't grow them. We are actually growing a real baobab tree, not here in Animal Kingdom though, but it's over at Epcot and living with the land. If you just ride that little boat ride, if you look hard enough, you might be able to find it. But anyways, animals. If you look over here to the left, we're gonna see an animal. What kind of animal? The 4-legged kind. Those are the African painted dogs. No, they're not hyenas. No, they're not related to them. So stop asking. There's 6 of them, and they're all brothers. Try to see if you can find all 6 there. Now, remember earlier I mentioned some poop facts. Guess what? Poop fact number 4. Did you know the painted dogs, their poop is white? That's because they eat a bunch of bones. All the bones have a bunch of calcium, which then makes their poop white. You know what that also reminds me of? Poop fact number 5. Did you know the painted dogs love poop so much? We actually collect poop to give it to them every week as a treat so they can roll around in it. Ooh, stinky. Now over here to the left, we're going to see a couple different animals. The brown animals are the very long but thin horns. Those are the sable antelopes. Off on the back, we'll see that tan-colored animal, or 2 of them. Those are the Patterson Zealand. We'll see some horses that we painted black and white over here to the left. Lying, just kidding. Those are the zebras, the Hartman's Mountain zebras. And then we saw those cattle with the giant horns. Now those are the Ankole cattle. They're also known as the Watusi cattle because they were domesticated by the Watusi tribe many years ago in Africa. They have some super long horns, which are pretty cool. And one cool fact about the horns is that whenever the Ankole cattle have a lot of mucus, what they like to do is tilt their head to the left and to the right so they can drain their boogers into the inside of those horns. Oh, also pretty gross. Now, coming up on the right, look at that. We'll see a real-life green Chevy Silverado. Isn't that pretty crazy? But next to them on the left, we'll see those black animals all grouped up together. Those are the wildebeest, the most densely packed group of mammals behind us humans. That is just a really fancy way of saying those animals are always going to be in groups. They hate being alone. And that's because it makes them feel super vulnerable, so they're not really going to be very far away from their friends and family that could be nearby. A group of wildebeest is actually called a what? Figure it out.
Herd.
Herd? No. I'll tell you what, it's also not a group of wildebeest. A group of wildebeest is called a confusion. And look at that, everyone. That is where Cocoa Pebbles come from. Isn't that pretty crazy? But look at that, next to them, we'll see this smaller little animal. Those are the springbok. Now, they actually have some pretty powerful legs. They're able to jump up 6 feet straight into the air without even having to try. And then when they're running and jumping, they can actually jump about 13 feet across. So those little legs that they have, they are pretty powerful. And they're also pretty fast too. You know, those springboks are actually one of the top 10 fastest living land animals in the world. And they can reach up to a top speed of 55 miles an hour. That's only about 5 miles an hour slower than the fastest living land animal in the world, which, by the way, we also do have here on the reserve. So let's try to keep an eye out for them as we continue to pass by. Let's see, I see a couple more of those springboks. I see some more of those wildebeest back there. I don't see anything just yet. Just kidding, I'm a liar. Coming up on the left, we're going to be able to see some African elephants. Now, they're huge, on average weighing about 10,000 to 15,000 pounds. Let's see if I recognize anyone. All right, the one directly across from me, next to that, behind that tree, I know that one weighs about 12,000 pounds. That's because a couple months ago we weighed them out. It was their birthday. You know what? Another guessing game. Why not? How old do you think that African elephant turned a couple months ago?
2. 7.
7? No, you're close though. It's 0. He's made out of concrete.
No.
That's not true. They're all real. But he specifically turned 40 years old. African elephants live about 75 to 80 years old, so he's pretty young for an African elephant. Now, wow, look at that. Actually, if we continue to move forward, coming up on the left, we will be able to see some ducks. Just some ducks. I don't really know too much about them. I do know one duck joke. It is a lame duck joke, but I'm going to tell it to you anyways because I have the microphone and I do what I want. Why do ducks have tail feathers? It's to cover their butt quack. I know. But anyways, let's keep on moving forward. Coming up on the left, we're going to see a pretty large flamboyance of greater flamingos. A group of flamingos is called a flamboyance, but these are the greater flamingos. Also, a little secret between us, the island that the flamingos are on right now is actually a pretty big hidden Mickey. Look at that. Now, while we're looking here to the left, we're going to notice there's a couple of greater flamingos that look a little bit differently. Now, first of all, those are ducks. But the ones next to them, the darker gray ones in color or barely having any pink on them, those are the juvenile greater flamingos, the babies. Now, they don't really look like babies since they're all pretty much the same size. These babies grow up to be their fully matured height in just about 5 months. But the reason they don't look the same in color, at least, is because they haven't eaten enough shrimp yet in their life. In shrimp, there's a protein called beta carotene, and that's what makes them turn that light pink color. So as they continue to eat more and more shrimp, they'll turn more and more pink every single day. Now over here on the left, look at that, we'll be able to see a couple of white rhinos. Now a group of white rhinos is called a crash. So this is a crash of those white rhinos. Now the white rhinos are pretty large, they weigh about 5,000 pounds, so they're bigger than those black rhinos. And they're also more social than them too. Now I mentioned earlier, the black rhinos are territorial. They stay by themselves, not really hanging out with any other black rhinos nearby or any other animals. The white rhinos are honestly the opposite. Not only are they bigger, but they also like to hang out with other white rhinos and hang out with a bunch of different animals nearby as well. These white rhinos are generally seen crashes, so try to keep an eye out because there probably is a bunch more white rhinos nearby. But at least for now, if we continue to look here to the left, we'll see a couple of babies. Aren't they so cute? So the one here next to us, that is our youngest baby. Her name is Logan. She just turned a year old this month. And then over here to the left, we'll see our oldest baby. He's about to roll in the mud with his mama. That is Ranger. He is 2 years old now. And look at that, he's hanging out with his mama right now and she's taking a little mud bath. Now these mud baths are not only just fun for them, but it also helps them stay cool. And when the mud hardens up on their skin, it acts as a bug repellent and as a sunblock as well. Now here to the left, we'll be able to see some cheetahs, the fastest living land animal in the world. Wait. Might have heard something. There might have been some roaring nearby, so we might be able to see another cooler animal, another cat nearby at least. But for now, we'll see some of those cheetahs. They can't roar, but they can meow just like a normal cat would. That's because they technically don't classify as a big cat. Big cats have an additional part in their throat that allows them to roar. But you know what? Why not, everyone? Another poop fact, you know, cheetahs, they love to poop in groups, which is why I like to call them the party poopers. Now, we got a bunch of party poopers over there. They're all adults, unfortunately, no babies. But speaking of some baby cheetahs, do you know what we call the baby cheetah? Cheetos. Little baby Cheetos. And look at that over here to the left. It's kind of hard to see, but we're going to see a little girl hanging up on top of the rocks. And by little, not really that little, we'll see a female lion, or also known as a lioness. Look at her, just relaxing. She's so pretty. Try to keep an eye out for the rest of the pride that we have here. A group of lions is called a pride. And look at that. Look who it is. It is Dakari, our male lion. Now look at him. Isn't he so handsome? What a marvelous cat. And boom, he's going to go sleep. I don't know why he slams on the ground so hard. He's going to give himself a concussion. But he just honestly doesn't care. He's always so tired. Looks like we can see him hanging out with his other lioness over here as well. And they're just always trying to go to sleep. That's all they ever do. Lions sleep for about an average of 20 hours. They're only really active for about 4 hours, which is spent at night. Now, during that time, the male lion would stay back to protect the pride, while the females, they would go off to hunt for food. Now, they especially like to hunt for food at night because they're able to see better. During the day, their eyesight, it's about the same as our human eyesight, but at night, their eyesight gets about 6 times better. So it's like they have a natural night vision, which is pretty cool. Now coming up on the left, pretty recognizable, we're going to be able to see some warthogs, aka Pumbaa, in real life. Warthogs, they have two sets of tusks. Now, the first set, the larger one on top, that's going to be used for defending themselves. It's going to be used for creating these little dens in the ground as well. That's what they like to sleep in. Well, you see the smaller set on the bottom? That just honestly helps them eat some of that food that they have. Now we can see a warthog sleeping outside on the rocks there. But whenever they sleep inside those little dens, they like to reverse inside. Kind of like, you know, just sleeping with their face outwards. They do that so they can help protect themselves from any animals that might try to attack in their sleep. And look at that there to the right. We're going to see our other baby. That's Milo, the second oldest baby. Now he also just turned a year old, but he turned a year old in... What month are we in? I have no idea. Was it last month or a month before? Who knows? They're still young anyways. But look at that over there to the right. We'll see some ostrich eggs. They are real. They're not rocks that have been painted. They're not onions or anything. You know, one normal size ostrich egg, it weighs about 3 pounds. While on the inside, the yolk is just about equivalent to 2 dozen eggs. So 24 egg yolks is about the same size as one normal size ostrich egg yolk. But that was the savannah, and now we're going to be entering into the last part of our reserve, which is called the Magadi Glen. In the Magadi Glen, we have our warden's post. The warden is the overseer of our land, and this is the post that they come to work on or just relax on as well. Now recently we adopted the Nigerian dwarf goats, but guess what? Those same dwarf goats, they just had some babies. So we're gonna see a bunch of baby goats here. A baby goat in general is called a kid, so try to see how many kids you can find. Always make sure you're looking inside the truck there to the left. There's always a couple inside listening to their favorite music, and of course enjoying some of that nice AC. Now, all of these dwarf goats are all just so friendly and so sweet. I mean, that's why we can find them here in the Magadi Glen. It's also why we can find them over at Rafiki's Planet Watch as well. Now, if you have not done Rafiki's Planet Watch already, I really recommend that you do go over there as fast as possible since they do close early. The last train does leave at 4:30, but if you go over to Rafiki's Planet Watch, not only will you be able to see some of those dwarf goats again, but guess what? You can also pet them too. There is a petting zoo over there, which is pretty awesome. So you can go over and pet some of those dwarf goats. It shows how friendly they are. You can even play around with them as well. And that's because they're super playful, and all they ever want to do is just play around and have fun all day long. Now, it's awesome to see that these dwarf goats are hanging out here on the same land as the warden, because it shows a great example of how humans and animals can live together peacefully and in harmony while both benefiting.